Just like the main Super Mario games, Mario Kart loves its recurring course themes. And I don't mean the music, as many of you seem to think last time, I mean the setting, the, well, theme of the course, what it thematically is supposed to be. Nearly all courses we have ever driven on can be divided into certain categories, which is exactly what I did, grouping them together thematically and then counting which themes are most pronounced in the series and which are actually less common than you might think. All clear? Alright, let's start with some important rules then. Every course in the series has been counted exactly once. If a course has returned as a retro course, that's all well and good, but it still only counts once. Every course can also only count for one category, not multiple. That means we do have to make some difficult and occasionally controversial choices, but it is necessary. Otherwise, every course with an underwater section would count as a water-themed course and the whole thing would get way too muddy and convoluted. For the same reason, I've tried to fit as many different courses into the established categories in order to prevent having a whole bunch of smaller themes that all have one or two courses in it. So, for example, I counted Daisy Cruiser as a water-based track, since, it's set on a boat, rather than make a specific boat category where Daisy Cruiser would then be the only track to count. This did mean that a very small handful of courses were basically impossible to fit in and thus have not really been counted, but I'll get into that later. If an old course has had a massive redesign during a later reappearance, which is mostly relevant for courses from Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit, I'm going by the theme established in the redesign. After all, it is the more modern version and the easiest to compare to other courses. Speaking of Super Mario Kart, I have counted the different versions of the same courses seen in that game, but I have not done the same for Mario Kart Tours. The reason for that is that when Super Mario Kart's tracks were brought back, they remained separated, while the city courses from Tour were combined into one track when they came to the Booster Course Pass. What I have also not counted are the connected tracks in between courses from Mario Kart World, so only the actual courses count, as well as anything from Home Circuit. This game does technically have actual courses in it, but I feel like counting these kinda goes against the spirit of the video, as all of them are more so skins to use for courses you create in your home rather than actual full-on themed courses like we see in the main games. And finally, and then we can actually start, I promise, is that I haven't counted battle courses either. I did however keep track of them and found that even if they had counted, the results would be nearly identical, aside from higher numbers obviously. Okay, put your predictions in, because with that all said, we can get started. And while I originally planned to make the cutoff for this video 9 points, since there are 9 mainline games, the fact that several well-known themes are stuck on 8 points has made me reconsider that. So now we begin with a three-way tie between a bunch of themes that have all had 8 courses. The oldest of these and the only one to be present ever since Super Mario Kart is the beach theme. The SNES title has 2 Koopa Troopa beaches, and 64 also has one of course, giving this category a very strong start. However, and that's common among the themes stuck around 8 or 9 points, as the series continues we see the numbers dwindle. And that has everything to do with the fact that while every Mario Kart game has a beach themed course, many recent entries have had their quota hit by retro courses, which as such don't give you points. You know what the most recent course is that I counted for beach? Maka Woohoo, and that's already a bit of a debatable one to begin with. Scratch it, and the most recent one is Cheep Cheep Beach from Mario Kart DS. That's how long it has been since we've had an original beach course in a Mario Kart game. And with World already having several returning beach courses like Peach Beach and Koopa Troopa Beach, I doubt it's at the top of Nintendo's list for DLC. Making their first appearance in Mario Kart 64 is another theme stuck on 8 points, which is, or rather are, jungles, forests, woods, etc. DK Jungle Parkway introduced this theme, which is definitely a lot more diverse than beaches. You've got the Donkey Kong homage track DK Jungle from 7, both River and Lakeside Park from Super Circuit, which have been redesigned to have a more forest jungle-like setting, as well as something like Maple Treeway. Unlike beaches, this one does have a new course in Mario Kart World, being Acorn Heights, but the lack of Super Mario Kart tracks does hurt this theme, as well as Mario Kart DS not introducing a new wooded course. The water theme is the last category stuck on 8 points, but its situation is quite different from the past two. Not only do I fully admit this is a way more vague and contentious category compared to the cut and dry beaches and forests, it has also absolutely soared up the list ever since Mario Kart 7 introduced underwater driving. Prior to that, I had only counted Daisy Cruiser, as mentioned before, and Koopa Cape as tracks that incorporate water in such a way that cannot be ignored. But since then, they've gained a massive 6 points from 4 games. Mario Kart 7 was, understandably, a big supplier with 3 water-themed courses in one game: Wario Shipyard, Piranha Plant Slide and Cheep Cheep Lagoon. This is also the first theme of this video to get points from Tor, as Piranha Plant Cove is without a doubt a water-themed course. But hey, like I said, I actually planned to cut these 3 from the video and start with the categories that at least have more points than we have mainline entries, so let's get on with those. And once again, how big is a chance, we find another 3-way tie. All 3 of these have been present since Super Mario Kart, and it's actually thanks to that game that the haunted or spooky theme is not relegated to the honorable mention segment. The first game has a total of 3 Ghost Valley tracks, which is a third of all courses this theme has ever had. Out of all categories with a substantial amount of tracks, I would say this is easily one of the most one-dimensional ones. All tracks in this category are Boo themed and are even quite similar in layout and design. Ghost Valley, Boo Lake, Banshee Boardwalk, Broken Pier, they might as well be the same track. And then you also have both Luigi's and Twisted Mansion. The only real unique track is the newest one, Boo Cinema. That said, there is one more category which is even more repetitive than the spooky theme, and that is, it shouldn't be a surprise, the space theme, which is really just Rainbow Road 9 times. Every mainline Mario Kart game has one new Rainbow Road, so that's 9 points exactly, which now suddenly does make it stand out that Mario Kart Tour doesn't have its own Rainbow Road. That would have pushed the space theme up by 2 spots effectively, as it would end this 3-way tie. Oh, and if you're wondering why I called this the space theme when it's really just Rainbow Road, well, I didn't want to go into the counting process with the baseline that only Rainbow Road would count. We have, however, never had another course with a space theme, only battle tracks, so it's now effectively the same thing. The last course theme with a nice number of 9 points is another I would say we all strongly associate with Mario Kart, and one that has suffered from basically the exact same problem as the beach theme: deserts. They at least have been seen again relatively recently, as Mario Kart 8 has bone-dry dunes, but their start in Super Mario Kart is less cut and dry. Choco Island is not exactly the epitome of a desert on the SNES, but redesigns from Tour and DS have made quite clear that these courses are meant to be deserts rather than desserts, prompting me to count them as desert rather than food-based course, which is, spoiler alert, a category we'll briefly talk about during the honorable mentions. But yeah, this is not a category that is always present, but also often represented by retro courses like in 7 and World, thus losing out on valuable points. Alright, it's time to cut a bit of a gap here into the next categories, although we're not quite done with ties yet. 2 themes are stuck on 11 points, which is a respectable number, more than the Mario Kart series has games at least. The first of these 2 is what I personally consider the most contentious category in this video, I'm gonna be upfront about that. I've changed and switched what exactly this group is multiple times before eventually settling on what it is now, being grasslands and plains, kinda like you would see in most 2D Mario games as First World. This does make it quite a diverse group though. You've got 3 donut plains from Super Mario Kart, you've got the Moo Moo tracks based on farmlands, you've got circuit tracks like GBA Peach Circuit, and more hard-to-fit courses that felt most at home here, like Hyrule Circuit and the Savannah-themed Faraway Oasis. It's a bit of everything, I admit, but the core themes of grasslands, meadows and simple nature are present in all to varying degrees, so I felt grouping them together the most appropriate. And if you do that, they end up with a decent 11 points. That is the same number as was scored by mountains, caves, cliffs and other courses that deal with geological terrain, for lack of a better word. Think names like Rock Mountain, Yoshi Valley, but also Daisy Hills, Shy Guy Falls, Wario Goldmine and Dandelion Depths. It's similarly a very diverse group, with several contentious candidates. Just like Choco Island wasn't considered food themed, the same also goes for Choco Mountain, which I'd argue is even less food-esque than Choco Island originally was. DK Mountain is one I've continuously put back and forth between jungle and mountain, but in the end, even though it is set in a jungle, I think the mountain is the true star of the course. Mount Wario is also counted as a mountain course for similar reasons, despite other themes coming through as well. Looking at the full list, what stands out for this category is the strong run it had during the late 2000s, early 2010s, with Mario Kart Wii, 7 and 8 all having 2 original mountainous courses each. We're done with ties now as we make our way up the list towards the 4th most common course theme in the Mario Kart series. And that, with 12 points, so 1 course more, is snow or ice themed tracks. This is the first category in the entire video to be present in every single game, with Merry Mountain making it so even Thor earns a point. In fact, this category earns a clean 1 point from every single Mario Kart game post 64, with Frappe Snowland, Sherbetland and the 2 Vanilla Lakes earning it 4 points before that impressive streak starts. What definitely also stands out is the fact that we've recently seen the number of Rosalina-themed ice tracks increase, with both Rosalina's Ice World and Starview Peak, despite Rosalina never actually having a pronounced snow theme in the actual Super Mario Galaxy games. Same goes for Donkey Kong actually. No real relation there, yet DK Pass and DK Summit are both snow-based tracks. It lands this category on 12 points, which puts it just shy of the podium unfortunately, but does kinda make it the best of the rest, compared to other extreme environments like deserts and jungles. So now, we have ended up with the bronze medalist, the number 3, and that is another Mario Kart staple. Whereas Rainbow Road only got 9 points, another series classic is of course Bowser's Castle, and just like I did with Rainbow Road, making that part of a larger space theme, I've done the same here. Introducing the Lava theme, which is 90% Bowser's Castle, but also has Grumble Volcano and Dry Bones Burnout pitching in for 2 more points, eventually landing at 16 total. But yeah, as nice as an extra 2 points are, the real meat of this category is Bowser's Castle, which, just like Rainbow Road, has a new entry every mainline game, but unlike Rainbow Road, has also had multiple in the same game. Super Mario Kart has 3 Bowser's Castles, and Super Circuit even has a ridiculous 4 of them. That's an entire cup worth of courses and something that truly sets apart the top 3 categories from the rest. All of them have had at least one game where 4 courses at once fit their theme. But as well as Lava did, and how iconic as Bowser's Castle is, we do have to face the reality of the situation here. The gap between Lava and 3rd and the upcoming number 2 is big. Really big. 10 points separate the two. That's more than there are Rainbow Roads in total. And that number 2, that runner-up, is racing tracks. Now, what that doesn't mean is tracks that you can race on, obviously. What defines this category is that the setting of the track is an actual race venue. That can be a circuit, like Figure 8 Circuit, SNES Mario Circuits or Double Dash's Yoshi Circuit, but it also includes several raceways from 64, stadiums as seen belonging to Wario, Waluigi and recently Peach in Mario Kart World, and you've even got Excite Bike Arena counting for this theme. As long as the purpose of this course appears to genuinely be racing and nothing else, it qualifies. If more appears to be present, it counts for something else. See DK Jungle Parkway or Double Dash's Mario Circuit, which seems more like a tour through Peach Castle's surroundings rather than an actual race course. But yeah, of course this is a very common theme that we've seen time and time again and will continue to see time and time again, resulting in a whopping 26 points. I do want to point out though, that since this theme is not included in Mario Kart Tour's original tracks, snow or ice is still the only theme present in all 10 Mario Kart games. And believe it or not, that unique record remains standing, even as we move to the winner. With an incredible lead of 12 points, the number 1 that no blue shell can catch up to is the urban theme. 38 tracks in total take us through cities, towns and facilities made by man or Toad kind, with the key difference compared to the last category being that these locations are apparently not made for racing specifically. But even though its lead is massive, it hasn't been in every game. Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit do not have urban tracks, probably as a result of this being too graphically demanding. The first course to fit this theme was Toad's Turnpike, which stood alone at the bottom of the list for a while, until Double Dash included 3 courses at once: Mushroom City, Bridge and Baby Park. And ever since, this theme has caught up and long surpassed the racing theme, which was still the frontrunner at the time. 6 tracks in Mario Kart 8 are urban themed, but the real decider were an insane 15 Mario Kart Tour tracks that are all mostly set in real life cities. Which does mean that if you were to discount Mario Kart Tour, on behalf of it not properly being a mainline game, that racing would win. But I think the fact these city tracks all made it to Mario Kart 8 does enough to legitimize their standing as a course, and thus the urban theme is the deserved winner. And honestly, even if Tour hadn't counted, it would have been a matter of time before urban would pass racing. This has been a staple of modern Mario Kart games, even more so than racing themed courses, scoring more points than it in Mario Kart Wii, 7, 8 and World. The last time a Mario Kart had more racing themed tracks than urban themes was on the GameCube. That says enough about how common of a locale this has become. And it's a diverse one too. You've got the busy Crown City, highways like Shroom Ridge, facilities like Toad's Factory, more leisure locations like Coconut Mall and Water Park, whatever the Neo Bowser City is supposed to be, a crossover course with Mute City, and even a course named like it's a circuit, with Daisy Circuit, which is really just set in a nice little town. It has something for everyone, and with nearly 40 points, that is honestly to be expected. And well, that has been the list. I promised honorable mentions, so we're gonna cover those right now. Earlier I mentioned a food theme, which is indeed a theme that scored a couple points, albeit not enough to make it into the actual main body of the video. Cheeseland, Sweet Sweet Canyon and Sky High Sundae put it at a decent 3 points, which is one more than the music theme, which encompasses Music Park and Electrodrome, both of which are hard to place beyond their general musical directions. The biggest categories not included in the video are 2 tied on 4 points. The first is the Sky theme, tracks that I would consider to be defined by their location being high above the clouds or in the air. These are Airship Fortress from DS, Sky Garden from Super Circuit, Cloud Top Cruise from 8, and the most recent addition, the Great Question Mark Block Ruins from Mario Kart World. On equal points ends one of the more fun and overlooked themes, one I was really rooting for, but couldn't push past 4 points. Courses defined by all racers being shrunk. Ribbon Road is a good example, Squeaky Clean Sprint is arguably even better, and the DS even has 2 of these, being Waluigi Pinball and Tic Tac Clock. Unfortunately, that's where it ends, so it's not enough to end up on the actual countdown. And finally, we have now counted every single course in Mario Kart history except for 5. These 5 I just struggled to put anywhere, so there are essentially just 5 one-track categories. You've got Thwomp Ruins, Animal Crossing and Big Blue from Mario Kart 8, as well as Yoshi's Island and Piranha Plant Pipeline, the latter being the only exclusive track Mario Kart Tour still has left. The similar Piranha Plant Slide was considered a water track, but since water barely plays a role here, Piranha Plant Pipeline doesn't fit that, and creating a sewer theme for just these 2 felt a little unnecessary as well. So yeah, do you have any ideas where these 5 would fit? And how did your predictions fare? Did you get it right? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.